Fleeing the Hurricane, Part 1, The Storm, and the Discovery, Jake Morrison stood on his grandfather's porch. Watching the sky turn an ugly green color, the wind was getting stronger. Trees were bending like they wanted to break. But Jake was not. "Moving, you should leave," his neighbor Mrs. Chen had said 3 hours ago. "Hurricane Delilah is coming. It's a big one." Jake had just shaken his head. "Grandpa built this house to last. I'm staying." Now he was not so sure. The hurricane was bigger than anyone thought. It's much bigger. The rain started hitting the windows like bullets. Jake went inside and turned on the radio. The man on the radio sounded scared. "Hurricane Delilah is now a Category 5 storm. Winds are over 180 miles per hour. If you are still in the area, find shelter now. This is not a drill. This storm will kill you." Jake looked at his grandfather's picture on the wall. The old man was wearing his Marine uniform. He had the same stubborn look that Jake saw in the mirror. "Every morning, we don't run, do we, Grandpa?" Jake said to the picture. The lights went out. Jake found his flashlight and some candles. He had enough food and water for a week. His grandfather had taught him to always be ready. But as the storm got worse, Jake began to understand that being ready might not be enough. The house started shaking. It's not just shaking. It was moving up and down like a boat on rough water. Jake looked out the window and saw something that made his blood turn cold. Water. Lots of water. It was coming fast across the land like a big black wall. "Storm surge," Jake whispered. His grandfather had told him stories about storm surges. Walls of ocean water that could be 20 feet high. They could push boats miles inland. They could crush houses like paper boxes. Jake ran to the back of the house. He needed to get to higher ground. But there was no higher ground. His grandfather's house was in a low area near the coast. Jake had always thought it was peaceful here. Now he realized it was dangerous. The water hit the house like a giant fist. Jake felt the house lift up. For a moment, he thought he was flying. Then everything started breaking. Windows exploded. Walls started coming apart. Water poured in from everywhere. Jake grabbed his backpack with his emergency supplies. He had to get out. The house was breaking into pieces around him. He kicked open the front door and jumped into the storm. The water was up to his chest and moving fast. It pushed him toward the old tool shed behind the house. Jake tried to fight the current, but it was too strong. Water carried him like he weighed nothing. Then he heard a new sound. A sound that made him look up at the sky in terror. Tornado. The funnel cloud was big and black, spinning like a giant drill. It was coming right at him. Jake had seen tornadoes on TV, but this was different. This one looked alive, angry. The tornado hit the tool shed just as Jake reached it. The old wooden building exploded into 1,000 pieces. Wood and metal flew everywhere. Jake covered his head and tried to find something solid to hold on to. That's when he saw it, where the tool shed used to be. There was now a hole in the ground. Not just any hole. This was a perfect square cut into the earth. Metal edges, professional work, a hatch. Jake stared at it. His grandfather had never mentioned any underground shelter. In 60 years of visiting this property, Jake had never seen any sign of construction here. But the hatch was real. It was open. Water was pouring into the hole, but not as fast as it was rising around Jake. He had a choice. Stay outside and die in the storm. Or go down into his grandfather's secret. Jake chose the secret. He dropped into the hole just as another piece of the tornado's destruction flew over his head. His feet hit metal steps. The hatch had a ladder going down into darkness. Jake climbed down and found a handle on the inside of the hatch. He pulled it shut just as something heavy crashed into it from above. It's probably a piece of someone's house. He was safe from the storm. But now he was in complete darkness under the ground. Jake turned on his flashlight. The beam showed him a small room with concrete walls. It looked like a military bunker. There were pipes and wires running along the ceiling. Everything looked old but well-maintained. On one wall, there was a heavy metal door. Jake tried the handle. It was unlocked. Door opened into a long hallway. Jake's flashlight beam could not reach the end of it. This was not just a storm shelter. This was something much bigger. Jake started walking down the hallway. His footsteps echoed in the darkness. The walls were thick concrete. The floor was metal. This place was built like a fortress. He passed several doors, most of them were locked, but one was open. Jake looked inside and saw what looked like a control room. There were old computers and radio equipment. Everything covered in dust. On the desk, there was a folder marked Top Secret. Jake opened it. Inside were papers with his grandfather's name on them. Colonel James Morrison, United States Marine. Corps, Intelligence Division. Jake had never known his grandfather was in intelligence. The old man had always said he was just a regular Marine. Jake kept walking down the hallway. It went deeper underground than he had expected. How far down did this place go? That's when he heard it. A voice, very quiet, like someone talking in their sleep. Jake stopped walking and listened. The voice was coming from somewhere ahead of him in the darkness. Jake moved forward carefully. The voice got a little louder. It was speaking English, but with an accent Jake had never heard before. The words were strange. 60 years. 60 years of waiting, but no more. ... double quotes. Jake found another door. It had a small window in it, like a prison. Cell. Light was coming from inside the room. It's not electric light, something else. Something that glowed blue. Jake looked through the window. Inside the room, there was a figure sitting on what looked like a medical bed. The figure was thin, too thin. It had long arms and legs. Its skin was gray and seemed to glow slightly. In the blue light, it was not human. The creature's head turned toward the window. Its eyes were large and black. When it saw Jake, it smiled. Its teeth were sharp. Finally, the creature said in that strange accent, "A visitor, after so long." Jake's hand went to the gun he always carried. His grandfather had taught him to. Always be armed. But something about the creature made him stop. It looked weak. Sick. "Who are you?" Jake asked through the window. The creature stood up slowly. Jake could see tubes connected to its arms. Medical equipment was keeping it alive. "My name is Kethfer," the creature said. "I am ... was a scout for the hegemony. But I have been a prisoner here for 60 years. 60 years of punishment. 60 years of refusing to eat the food they gave me." The creature walked closer to the window. Jake could see how thin it really was. This thing was starving itself. But you have come at the perfect time, human," Kethfer said. "The storm above is not natural. It is a weapon. My people are coming. And today, after 60 years of fasting, in protest..." The creature pressed its face against the window. Its black eyes looked directly into Jake's. "My fast ends today." Jake felt his blood turn cold, not because of the creature's words, but because of what he suddenly understood. His grandfather had not just been a Marine. He had been guarding a secret. A terrible secret, and now Jake was alone with that secret while a monster hurricane raged above, and something called the hegemony was coming. The creature smiled again, showing those sharp teeth. "Tell me, human," Kethfer said. "Are you ready to learn the truth about your world?" Thunder crashed overhead, but Jake barely heard it. All he could hear was his own heart beating and the creature's voice echoing in the underground. Chamber. The storm outside was just the beginning. Fleeing the Hurricane, Part 2. First contact, Jake stared at the creature through the small window. His hand was still on his gun, but he did not pull it out. Something about Kethfer seemed more sad than dangerous. "What truth?" Jake asked.
What?
"Are you talking about..." Kethfer moved away from the window and sat back down on the medical bed. The tubes in his arms made soft beeping sounds from the machines. "First, you must let me out," Kethfer said. "I am dying. These machines have kept me alive for 60 years, but the storm damaged the power. I have maybe hours left." Jake looked at the door. There was a keypad next to it. Red numbers showed it was locked. "How do I know you won't hurt me?" Jake asked. Kethfer laughed, but it sounded more like coughing. "Look at me, human. I can barely stand. I have not eaten real food in 60 years. I am weak as a baby bird." Jake thought about this. The creature did look very sick, and if it had wanted to hurt him, It could have stayed quiet and waited for him to open the door. "What's the code?" Jake asked. "Try your grandfather's birthday," Kethfer said. Jake felt cold. "How do you know my grandfather? He was the one who captured me. The one who built this prison." "James Morrison, yes. We talked many times over the years. He told me about his family, about his grandson who became a Marine like him." Jake's hands were shaking as he typed in the numbers. His grandfather's birthday, March 15th, 1925. The keypad beeped and turned green. The heavy door opened with a loud click. Jake stepped into the room carefully. Kethfer did not move from the bed. Up close, Jake could see the creature was even thinner. Then he thought its gray skin was stretched tight over bones. The blue glow was coming from lines under its skin, like veins full of light. "Thank you," Kethfer said. "It has been so long since someone trusted me." Jake noticed there was a chair next to the bed. Looked like someone had spent a lot of time sitting there. "My grandfather visited you?" Jake asked. "Every week for 40 years, until he got sick 5 years ago. We became friends, I think. Strange friends, but friends." Jake sat down in the chair. It felt weird to be talking to an alien, but it also felt normal somehow, like talking to a sick person in a hospital. "You said the hurricane is a weapon. What did you mean?" Kethfer closed his large black eyes. "The hegemony has many worlds. We take planets slowly, carefully. First we send scouts like me to study the people. Then we send weather machines to make disasters, hurricanes, earthquakes, floods, make the people weak and scared before we arrive." "Weather machines?" Said, "That's impossible." "Is it?" Kethfer asked. "Look outside. Have you ever seen a hurricane this big, this powerful? Your weather people said it would be bad, but not this bad, and it moves wrong.
Natural hurricanes
Do not move in straight lines like this one." Jake thought about it. Hurricane Delilah had been strange. It had grown from a small storm to a monster in just 2 days, and it had come straight for the coast like it knew where it was going. "Why are you telling me this?" Jake asked. "Aren't you supposed to be loyal to your people?" Kethfer opened his eyes and looked at Jake. "I was loyal. For the first 10 years here, I told your grandfather nothing. I let them do tests on me. I ate nothing. Waited for rescue that never came." "What changed?" "Your grandfather changed?" "Me, every week, he would sit in that chair and talk to me. Not like I was a thing to study, but like I was a person. He told me about his wife who died, about his son who died in a car crash, about you." Kethfer sat up slowly. The machines beeped. Faster. "He told me how humans act when things get bad. How they fight when they have no chance of winning. How they never give up. Even when giving up makes sense." Jake felt strange hearing this. So I started watching human TV shows through the security cameras. I learned your language better. I saw your movies, your news, your sports. And I realized something terrible." "What?" "Humans are different from every other species we have conquered. You do not break the way others break. When disaster comes, you get stronger. When you are scared, you get braver. When you are outnumbered, you get smarter." Kethfer stood up. The tubes pulled tight but did not come out of his arms. "The hegemony has conquered 47 worlds. Every time we send disasters first, people always react the same way. They panic. They fight each other. They become weak and easy to control, but not humans. I watched your Hurricane Katrina on the news feeds. I saw what happened. Yes, some people panicked. But I also saw neighbors helping neighbors. I saw people risking their lives to save strangers. I saw humans using boats and helicopters to rescue people they had never met." Kethfer walked to the window and looked out at the hallway. "When the disasters come, humans become more human, not less. This is why I stopped eating their food. This is why I broke my oath of silence. Because I realized we are making a terrible mistake." Jake stood up too. "What mistake?" "We are not conquering humans. We are making them ready to fight us." The lights in the room flickered. The machines made warning sounds. "The power is getting worse," Jake said. "What happens if these machines stop?" "I die," Kethfer said simply. "But that does not matter now. What matters is that you understand what is coming. Tell me. Kethver walked back to the bed and sat down. He looked very tired. The hurricane should last 3 days. That was the plan. 3 days to break the people's spirit. Then the ships would come. First the advance team, then the main fleet. They expected to find humans hiding in shelters, crying and broken. But instead they will find humans like you, humans who run into storms to save their grandfather's house, humans who trust. Strange creatures in underground bunkers, humans who ask questions and make friends with their enemies. The room shook. Something heavy had hit the bunker from above. How many ships are coming? Jake asked. The advance team is 12 ships, small ones. They carry maybe 300 soldiers total. The main fleet, ... double quotes. The main fleet has 50,000 soldiers and weapons that can destroy cities. Jake felt his stomach drop. 50,000? Kethver said, using his name for the first time. Your grandfather built more than just this bunker. He built many bunkers, all connected, all with weapons and supplies. He spent 40 years getting ready for this day. Weapons? Kind of weapons? Human weapons? And some hegemony weapons. That he ... borrowed ... from me over the years. He reverse engineered them, made them better. The lights went out completely. Jake turned on his flashlight. We need to get you to a different power source, Jake said. No, Kethver said. We need to get to the control room. There is something your grandfather wanted you to find. Is something. That will help you fight back. Why didn't he tell me about any of this? Because he hoped it would never happen. But he also knew it probably would. So he made preparations. This whole bunker system is his gift to humanity. It's a way of making sure you have a chance. Jake helped Kethver disconnect from the machines. The alien was weak, but he could walk. The control room is 3 levels down, Kethver said. We must. Hurry. The advance team will be here soon. It will come looking for me first. How do you know? Because I sent them a signal when you opened my door. Not on purpose. It was automatic. A tracker in my body. They know I am free now. Jake stopped walking. You sent them a signal? They're coming here? Yes, but Jake, this is good news. How is that good news? Kethver smiled his sharp-toothed smile. Because now we can show them what happens when they try to fight humans who are ready for them. Thunder crashed overhead, but it sounded different now. Not like thunder at all. It sounded like engines. Big engines. Jake and Kethver looked at each other in the flashlight beam. They're early, Kethver whispered. The alien. Invasion had begun. Fleeing the Hurricane, Part 3. The terrible truths, the sound of engines grew louder above them. Jake helped Kethver walk down the metal stairs to the lower levels of the bunker. The alien was getting weaker without the machines, but he kept moving. Much time do we have? Jake asked. Not much, Kethver said, breathing hard. They will land and start scanning for my signal. It'll be 10 minutes before they find the bunker entrance. They reached the 3rd level down. Here the hallway was wider, and the doors were bigger. Jake's flashlight showed rooms full of equipment covered in plastic sheets. There, Kethver pointed to a door marked Command Center. In faded letters, Jake tried the handle. It was locked, but there was another keypad. This time he tried his own birthday. Nothing. He tried his grandfather's military service number that he remembered from old papers. Still nothing. Try the date you joined the Marines, Kethver suggested. Jake looked at him, surprised. How do you know I'm a Marine? Your grandfather talked about you all the time. He was very proud. Said you were just like him, too stubborn. To quit, even when quitting was smart. Jake typed in the date he had graduated from boot camp. The door clicked open. Inside, the command center was much bigger than the other rooms. Banks of computers lined the walls. Most were old, but some looked newer. In the center was a large table with papers spread across it. Maps, charts, and photographs. Jake turned on the overhead lights. They worked, powered by a different system than the medical equipment upstairs. Your grandfather spent 40 years building this, Kethver said, looking around. Every piece of technology he could steal or copy from my people. Every weakness he could find. All of it is here. Jake walked to the table. The maps showed locations all along the East Coast. Red dots marked dozens of spots from Maine to Florida. Each dot had a number next to it. What are these red dots? Jake asked. Other bunkers, other weapons caches. Your grandfather built a whole network. He recruited people, military, scientists, engineers, people who could help when the time came. Jake picked up a folder marked Hegemony Analysis, Top Secret. Inside were detailed drawings of alien ships, weapons, and soldiers. His grandfather's handwriting filled the margins with notes. Weakness in hull design, concentrated fire at joint connections. Body armor fails at 2,847 degrees Fahrenheit. Command structure rigid, eliminate leaders to cause confusion. My grandfather studied. Your people like a scientist, Jake said. Yes, and I helped him. At first, I did not want to. But over the years, I began to understand that my people were wrong about humans. Jake found another folder labeled Human Advantages. His grandfather had made lists. Adapt quickly to new situations, fight harder when protecting others, use tools. In unexpected ways, work together even with strangers, never surrender completely. He really believed we could win, Jake said. He knew you could win. But only if humans fought like humans, not like other species. The sound of engines stopped. Jake and Kethfer looked at the ceiling. They have landed, Kethfer whispered. Jake found a folder with his name on it. It was a letter in his grandfather's handwriting. Jake, if you are reading this, then the day I feared has come. The alien invasion is here, but do not be afraid. Everything you need is in this room. The weapons, the plans, the allies. But remember, your greatest weapon is not what I built. It is who you are. You are human. That means you do not know how to give up. Use that. Grandpa at the bottom. There was a phone number and the words, call this number. Tell them hurricane. Warning, they will understand. Jake found an old phone on one of the desks. It was connected to a special line, not regular phone service. Military communication. He dialed the number. It rang once, then a woman's voice answered. Secure line 7. Who is this? My name is Jake Morrison. My grandfather was Colonel James Morrison. He told me to call this number and say hurricane warning. There was silence for a moment. Then the woman's voice changed, became more serious. Jake Morrison. We have been waiting for this call for 5 years. Stand by. A new voice came on the line. A man, older, with authority. Jake, this is General Patterson. I worked with your grandfather for 30 years. Yes, sir. Is the package secure? Jake looked at Kethfer, who nodded. Yes, sir. The package is secure. Good, we are activating all sites now. You have weapons and supplies for a team of 12. More people will be coming to you within the hour. Sir, there are enemy ships outside right now. We know. We've been tracking them. This is what we trained for, son. Your grandfather's network is bigger than you think. There are 3,000 people ready to fight, all waiting for this moment. Jake felt a strange mix of fear and excitement. His grandfather had built an army. What are my orders, sir? Survive. Learn. Fight back. Take care of our guest. Is very important to our plans. The line went dead. Kethfer was sitting in a chair now, looking very pale. I need food, he said weakly. Real food, not the medical nutrients from the machines. Jake found a storage room filled with military meals. He heated one up using a small stove and brought it back to Kethfer. Here, Jake said, offering the alien a spoon. Beef stew. It's not fancy, but it's real food. Kethfer looked at the bowl for a long moment. 60 years, he said quietly. 60 years I refused to eat human food. It was my protest, my way of saying I would never accept being a prisoner. But you're not a prisoner anymore, Jake said. He paused, not sure what word to use. I am your ally, Kethfer said. Your friend, maybe. Something I never thought possible. Kethfer took a small bite of the stew. His eyes went wide. It is good, he said, surprised. I expected it to taste wrong, but it tastes like hope, Jake smiled. My grandfather always said military food was terrible, but it kept you alive. Kethfer ate more quickly now. With each bite, he seemed to get a little stronger. The blue lines under his skin glowed brighter. Jake Kethfer said between bites. There is something else you must know. Something your grandfather discovered, but never told anyone else. What? The hegemony is not just invading Earth. We are running from something that has been hunting us across the galaxy. Jake sat down. Running from what? We do not know what they are. Call them the Devourers. They eat entire worlds. It's not just the people, the planets themselves. They turn everything into gray dust. How many worlds have they destroyed? Hundreds? Maybe thousands? The hegemony has been running for 50 years. We conquer new worlds not because we want to, but because we need places to hide. Jake felt cold. So Earth is just a hiding place. Was supposed to be, but your grandfather figured this out. He realized that if humans could defeat the hegemony, maybe humans could defeat the Devourers too. That's crazy. We can barely handle you guys. Kethfer finished the stew and sat down. The bull. Already he looked much healthier. Jake, in 50 years of running, no species has ever hurt the Devourers. But no species we conquered ever fought like humans fight. When other species lose their homes, they become refugees. When humans lose their homes, we get angry, Jake. Finished. Exactly. And angry humans are the most dangerous thing in the galaxy. Above them, there was a loud crash. Then another. The aliens were breaking into the bunker. Jake grabbed weapons from a wall rack. It's military rifles, but modified with alien technology. They hummed when he picked them up. Are you ready to fight? Jake asked Kethe. Are the aliens stood up? He was still. Thin, but his eyes were bright now, determined. Jake, I have not fought anyone in 60 years. I am weak and old. But today, for the first time in my life, I am fighting for something I believe in. What's that? The idea that maybe, just maybe, humans can save us all. The ceiling shook as heavy footsteps moved above them. Alien voices spoke in a language Jake did not understand, but he understood the tone. They were angry, they were hunting, and they were coming down. Jake checked his weapon and looked at his new alien friend. Well, Kethfer, Jake said. Let's show them what humans do when someone threatens our home. The first alien soldier appeared at the top of the stairs, the real. The fight was about to begin. Fleeing the Hurricane, Part 4. Unlikely alliance, the first alien soldier came down the stairs slowly, scanning with a weapon that glowed red. Jake had never seen a real hegemony soldier before. It was tall, maybe 7 feet, wearing black armor that covered its whole body. Its helmet had a glass front, and Jake could see large black eyes like Kethfer's. But these eyes were different, cold, angry. The soldier spoke in the alien language. Its voice sounded like metal scraping on stone. It says, Traitor, show yourself. Kethfer whispered to Jake. They know I am here. Jake raised his modified rifle. Weapon hummed, and a small display lit up showing targeting information. His grandfather had really improved these guns. Stay behind me, Jake told Kethfer.
Oh.
Kethfer said. He picked up another rifle from the wall. We fight together. The alien soldier reached the bottom of the stairs. It saw Jake and raised its weapon. But before it could fire, Kethfer stepped out from behind cover. Velthek, Kethfer shouted. I know you. The soldier stopped. It spoke again in the alien language, sounding surprised. He says, Kethfer, you live. We thought you were dead, Kethfer translated. He says, come with us. The commander wants to see you. What are you telling him? Jake asked. Kethfer smiled his sharp-toothed smile and spoke to the soldier in their language. His voice was strong and commanding. The soldier stepped back, looking confused.
No.
I told him that I have learned something important about humans, something the commander needs to know. But I will only speak to him if he comes down here alone. Will that work? Velthok is young and ambitious. He will want to be the one who brings important information to the commander. The soldier spoke into a communication device on his wrist. Jake could hear other voices responding, but he could not understand the words. After a minute, the soldier put down his weapon and started removing his helmet. He is showing trust, Kethfer explained. This is good. Velthek's face looked much like Kethfer's gray skin, large black eyes, sharp teeth. But where Kethfer looked tired and wise, this soldier looked angry and proud. Velthek spoke again. He says the commander will come down in 5 minutes. He wants to know what I have learned about human weaknesses. Jake tensed. Weaknesses. Do not worry, Kethfer said quietly. I have a plan. But you must trust me, even when what I do seems wrong. Before Jake could ask what he meant, Kethfer did something unexpected. He dropped his rifle and put his hands up. I surrender to you, Velthek, Kethfer said in English, so Jake could understand. This human captured me. He is very dangerous. You should be careful. Jake stared at Kethfer. Was his alien friend betraying him? Velthak looked pleased. He picked up his weapon again and pointed it at Jake. Human, drop your weapon, Velthak said in broken English. Jake looked at Kethfer, who gave him a tiny nod. Jake slowly put down his rifle. Good, Velthek said. You're smart for a human. Most humans are too stupid to surrender. Actually, Jake said, most humans are too stubborn to surrender. Before Velthak could ask what that meant, Jake dove. To the side, the same moment, Kethfer grabbed the alien soldier from behind. No, Kethfer shouted. Jake rolled and grabbed his rifle, but Velthak was strong and trained. He threw Kethfer against the wall and raised his weapon toward. Jake fired first. The modified rifle made a sound like thunder. A blue beam hit Velthak in the chest. His armor sparked and smoked, but it did not break through. Armor too strong. Jake shouted, diving behind a computer desk. Aim for the joints, Kethfer called out, getting back to his feet, where the armor pieces connect. Jake aimed more carefully and fired again. This time the beam hit where Velthak's armor met his shoulder armor. There was a flash of light, and the soldier screamed in pain. His arm went limp, but he kept fighting with his other hand. Humans, Velthak shouted. You think you are clever, but you know nothing about real war. Maybe not, Jake said, firing again. We know about fighting dirty. The second shot hit the joint at Velthak's knee. The soldier fell down, but kept trying to shoot. Kethfer picked up a piece of broken metal from the floor. He'd walked over to Velthak and hit him on the head. The soldier stopped moving. Is he dead? Jake asked. No, just unconscious. We'll need him to answer questions. Jake heard more footsteps on the stairs. Multiple soldiers this time. The commander is coming, Kethfer said. We must prepare. Jake looked around the command center. His grandfather had built this place for war, but Jake needed to think like a human, not like a traditional soldier. Help me move these computers, Jake said. Why? Trust me. I have an idea. They quickly rearranged the room, creating a maze of equipment and furniture. Jake found some cables and strung them at ankle height between the desks. Humans fight differently than other species, Jake explained as they worked. We use everything around us as a weapon. Kethfer was learning to think like a human. He found some loose wires and connected them to the metal floor near the stairs. Electricity trap? He asked. Exactly. You're getting the hang of this. They could hear the soldiers getting closer. Jake counted at least 4 different voices. Kethfer, Jake said. Whatever happens, remember that you chose to fight with humans today. That makes you human too, in the way that matters. I am honored, Kethfer said. The soldiers appeared at the top of the stairs. The first one was different from Velthak. Bigger, with silver markings on his armor. The commander, Kethfer. The commander called out in English. Show yourself. We know you are here. I am here, Commander Zektar, Kethfer called back. But I am not your prisoner anymore. You have been away too long, old friend. You have forgotten your loyalty. No, I have remembered what loyalty really means. Commander Zektar started down the stairs, followed by 3 other soldiers. They moved carefully, weapons ready. You have been infected by human thinking, Zektar said. We will cure you of this disease. The only disease here is the lie we have been telling ourselves, Kethfer replied. The commander reached the bottom of the stairs. He stepped right into Kethfer's electricity trap. Blue sparks flew everywhere. Zektar screamed and fell down, his armor smoking. The other soldiers tried to help him, crowding together at the bottom of the stairs. That was when Jake started shooting. The modified rifles were powerful, but more importantly, Jake was not shooting to kill, was shooting to confuse and scatter. The enemy, he hit lights, computers, anything that would make noise and sparks. The room filled with smoke and flashing lights. The alien soldiers started shooting back, but they could not see clearly. Their shots hit walls and equipment, but not Jake or Kethfer. "This is chaos," one of the soldiers shouted. "Humans love chaos," Jake shouted back. "We grew up in it." Jake used the maze of equipment to move around the room without being seen. Every time he appeared in a new spot, he fired a few shots and disappeared again. The aliens were trained for organized battle, not for this kind of wild fighting. Kethfer was helping too. He knew exactly where the aliens would expect someone to hide, so he hid in different places. They looked for him in one spot, he would attack from another. "You fight like demons," Commander Zektar called out, trying to get back on his feet. "We fight like humans," Jake replied. "And that is much worse." One by one, Jake and Kethfer managed to disable the soldiers. Not kill them. Jake's grandfather had taught him that prisoners were more valuable than bodies. But they took away their weapons and tied them up with computer cables. When it was over, Jake and Kethfer stood in the smoky, sparking command center, surrounded by 4 captured hegemony soldiers. "We did it," Jake said, breathing hard. "Yes," Kethfer said. "But this was just the advanced team. The real army is still coming." Jake looked at the captured commander. "Then we better start asking questions." Commander Zektar glared at them with hate in his black eyes. "You think you have won something? This changes nothing. The main fleet will arrive tomorrow. 50,000 soldiers. You cannot fight them all." "Maybe not," Jake said. "But we can try. And when humans try to do something impossible, sometimes impossible things happen." Kethfer was checking the communication equipment. "Jake, I can send a message to the main fleet. Tell them the advance team was successful and Earth is ready for invasion." "Why would we do that?" "Because if we lie to them about what they will find here, they will not be prepared for the real fight." Jake smiled. His alien friend was definitely thinking like a human now. "Do it," Jake said. "Tell them we are broken and ready to surrender. And then we call my grandfather's network and show these invaders what happens when you attack Earth during hurricane season." Outside, the storm was ending. For the hegemony, the real storm was just beginning. Fleeing the Hurricane, Part 5. Hurricanes and Jake watched as Kethfer sent the false message to the hegemony main fleet. The aliens' fingers moved quickly over the communication controls, typing in their strange symbols. "Telling them?" Jake asked. "I am reporting that Earth's defenses are completely broken," Kethfer said. "The hurricane destroyed all military bases. Humans are hiding in shelters, crying and afraid. The planet is ready for easy conquest." Commander Zektar, tied up on the floor, made an angry sound. "You're a traitor to your own species, Kethfer." "No," Kethfer replied, without looking at him. "I am loyal to what is right. There is a difference." Jake's secure phone rang. It was General Patterson again. "Jake, we have movement in orbit. 12 large ships, just like your grandfather predicted. How is your situation?" "We have 4 prisoners, including their commander, and we sent them false information about our readiness." "Excellent. Are you ready for Phase 2? Jake looked around the command center. He had been in this bunker for less than 12 hours, but it felt like a lifetime. Everything had changed. The world had changed. "What is Phase 2, sir? Your grandfather designed this facility for more than just defense, son." "It is a weapon. A very big weapon." Jake found the folder marked Final Protocol on his grandfather's desk. Inside were blueprints of the bunker system. But these were not just bunkers, they were launch sites. "Missiles?" Jake asked. "Not exactly. Your grandfather studied hegemony technology for 40 years. He learned how to build their gravity weapons, but he made them better." Jake studied the papers. His grandfather had not just copied alien technology, he had improved it. "How many bunkers have these weapons?" "All 47 sites along the coast. But they need to be fired at the same time, in sequence. And they need someone who understands hegemony technology to target them properly." Jake looked at Kethfer. "Can you do it?" "I can try." Jake, These gravity weapons are very dangerous. If we miss, if we use too much power, we could damage Earth itself. And if we do nothing, then 50,000 soldiers land tomorrow, and humanity becomes slaves. Jake made his decision. It was the kind of decision his grandfather would have made, the kind of decision Marines made. Let's do it. For the next 6 hours, Jake and Kethfer worked together to prepare the weapons network. Kethfer used his knowledge of hegemony ship designs to calculate exactly where to aim. Jake used his grandfather's research to coordinate with all 47 bunker sites. One by one, the other sites reported ready. Jake talked to people he had never met: scientists, engineers, former military officers. All of them had been waiting for this day, just like his grandfather planned. This is Colonel Martinez at Site 12. Weapons armed and ready. This is Dr. Chen at Site 23. All systems green. This is Captain Rodriguez at Site 35. Locked on target. As the reports came in, Jake realized something amazing. His grandfather had not just built weapons, he had built a community. People who trusted each other, who had trained together, who were ready to risk everything to protect their home. Jake, Kethfer said quietly, the main fleet is coming into position. They will begin landing in 2 hours. Above them, Jake could hear the hurricane finally ending. The wind was dying down. The rain had stopped. But he knew the real storm was just beginning. All sites. This is Jake Morrison at Command Site 1, he said into the radio. My grandfather spent 40 years preparing for this moment. Now, it is our turn to finish what he started. Roger, Command Site 1, came 46 voices at once. Jake felt a strange feeling in his chest. Pride, maybe, or hope. His grandfather had believed that humans could win this fight. Jake was starting to believe it too. Kethfer, are you ready? Jake, I need to tell you something first. What? When I first met your grandfather, I thought humans were weak. You seemed so small, so fragile, but I was wrong. Humans are not weak. You are the opposite of weak. What do you mean? Other species become strong by making themselves harder, bigger, more armored. But humans become strong by staying soft, by caring about each other, by refusing to give up hope. Jake thought about this. Is that really strength? In the galaxy. Because when you care about something, you will fight for it in ways that others cannot understand. On the screens around them, Jake could see the hegemony ships getting closer to Earth. 50 massive ships, carrying an army that had conquered 47 other worlds. But Jake was not afraid anymore. All sites, he said into the radio. Fire. On my command. 3.2.1. Fire. 47 gravity weapons fired at the same time. Jake felt the bunker shake as their weapon launched. It was not a missile or a beam. It was a pulse of twisted space-time. It's invisible, but incredibly powerful. The weapons reached the hegemony fleet in seconds. On the screen, Jake watched the alien ships suddenly stop moving. They hung in space like toys, caught by artificial gravity fields that squeezed them from all sides. It's working, Kethfer shouted. One by one, the hegemony ships began to crack. Their hulls could not handle the stress of the gravity weapons. Ships that had conquered planets were being crushed like tin cans. But the weapons did more than just destroy ships. As each ship broke apart, emergency pods launched toward Earth. Thousands of them. They are abandoning ship, Kethfer said. Soldiers will still land, but without their heavy weapons. How many? Jake asked. Maybe 30,000 survivors. Still a large army. Jake smiled, but now they are not invaders. They are refugees, and humans know how to deal with refugees. He picked up the radio again. All sites, Phase 2 complete. Enemy fleet destroyed, but we have incoming survivors. Do not fire on the escape pods. Repeat, do not fire on the escape pods. Just Command Site 1, this is Colonel Martinez. Are you sure? They are still enemies. Negative. They are defeated enemies asking for mercy. That changes everything. Jake turned to the captured commander, Zector. Your fleet is destroyed, Jake told him. Your soldiers are going to crash land all over our planet, but we are not going to kill them. Why not? Zektar asked, confused. Because that's not what humans do. We fight when we have to, but we help when we can. Over the next few hours, Jake coordinated the rescue of 30,000 alien soldiers from crashed escape pods. Some were injured, some were angry. Scared, but all of them were treated as prisoners of war, not as targets for revenge. I do not understand, Commander Zektar said as he watched the rescue reports. We came to conquer you. We destroyed your cities with weather weapons. Why do you save our lives? Because Jake said, that is what makes us human. Kethfer was working at the communication station again. Jake, I am receiving messages from other worlds. The hegemony network is talking about what happened here. Are they saying that humans are dangerous? But not because you are violent, because you turn enemies into friends. Because you fight for others, not just yourselves. Eh? Jake looked out at the surface through a periscope. The hurricane damage was massive. Trees were down everywhere. Houses were destroyed. But people were already outside, helping each other clean up, and they were helping the crashed alien soldiers too. There's something else, Kethfer said. The message is reaching beyond hegemony space. Other species are hearing about this. Species that have been hiding from the Devourers? What are they saying? They want to know if humans would help them fight the Devourers too. Jake thought about this. Yesterday he had been a man trying to protect his grandfather's house from a hurricane. Today, he was being asked to help save the galaxy. What do you think, Kethfer? Can humans fight something that destroys entire planets? Kethfer smiled his sharp-toothed smile. Jake, 3 days ago, humans did not even know aliens existed. Today, you destroyed the most powerful fleet in the galaxy. Tomorrow, he looked out at the humans and aliens working together in the wreckage. Tomorrow, I think the Devourers are going to learn what happens when they threaten a species that turns hurricanes into victory. Jake picked up the radio one more time. All sites, this is Jake Morrison. Operation Hurricane is complete. But our work is just beginning. There are other species out there that need our help. Other monsters that need to be stopped. Are we ready for that fight? Command Site 1, came Colonel Martinez's voice. Jake looked at Kethfer, who nodded. Roger, Site 12. Humans are always ready for the next storm. Outside, the sun was shining. For the first time in 3 days, the hurricane was over. The invasion was over. But the real adventure was just beginning, and humanity was ready.